A federal judge has struck down a key policy proposed by the Biden administration that would expand overtime pay to certain salaried workers. The ruling has sparked debate over its potential impacts on businesses and employees. Our legal analyst Whitney Traylor joins us this morning to break down what this means for workers. Good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning. Sure. Good to be here.
All right. I know it's a little bit weird over here on this new set.
I think they gave me the weak chair, so.
Well, that's the better of the two.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, you know. All right. So what law governs overtime pay, and what is the general rules regarding overtime pay?
Right. So right now, overtime is governed by a federal law, the FLSA, and what that says is essentially for exempt, non-exempt employees, they can be paid overtime. So that's 1.5 times their salary for every hour over 40 hours. And then they have, of course, they classify employees as either exempt, meaning, and that's generally the professionals, the managers, and so they're not paid overtime, and then non-exempt. And as part of that, there's also a salary threshold. So right now, if you make less than 35 grand, you're supposed to be paid your overtime. If you make more than 35, you're exempt and you don't get overtime.
Okay, so the Biden administration proposed changing the overtime pay rules, which the court struck down. Why? Yeah,
so they wanted to change it, actually raising that number. So this would have impacted about 4 million employees. And so that number, instead of 35,000, that would have been almost 44,000. So that meant either employers would have to bump up how much they paid those employees, or they'd have to pay them overtime if they made less than 44. So this would have really benefited a lot of folks. And this was supposed to go into effect July 1st was the first bump up, and then the second bump up would be January, and it would go up to $59,000. And so the court said, this was a Trump-appointed judge, and said, no, the Department of Labor overstepped their authority, so they didn't have the authority to do this. So now, right now, the number is going to be essentially reverted back to that 35 grand.
So some employers did raise wages and started paying the new OT rates. What happens to those employees' wages now?
Right, that's a great question. So some people, like I was reading a story, Ohio State, they started paying their employees, they bumped up their salary based on this. Then in November, the judge ruled against this, and they sent out a memo saying, hey guys, sorry, we're taking back those raises. Right at the holiday time, exactly. So at least Ohio State, they agreed to pay them through the end of the year at their new rates. But this really, and there were a lot of academics, there were a lot of schools that were really concerned about this in higher education. But in that example, it would have only been $2 million more in salary, and they have like $1 billion budget or something. So it wouldn't have made much of a difference. It seems like it, yeah.
So do you think there's going to be an appeal here, and what happens next?
Right, so that's going to be really interesting because the new administration comes in on, so the Biden administration actually did file an appeal. The new administration obviously comes in January 20th. And he's probably Trump. The same thing happened with Obama when he tried to raise this number when he came in, and then Trump came in and pushed it back down. So with the fact that we're going to have a new administration that's more employer friendly, I doubt the appeal is going to go anywhere because the new administration will just do what they want. So right now it'll probably go back down to that 35 grand, which, you know, a lot of people, myself included, I'm probably a little more pro-employee, but that's just not a high number.
Right.
And so, you know, if you're making just a little over 35 grand, you could be working 50, 60 hours and not earn overtime. So it seems a little unfair.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in the coming months.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thank you so much for coming in.
Good to be here.
Chris?